Every day we are pulled in two different directions, but there's one path that promises a shortcut, the easy way out. But the other, well, it's harder, but it promises something more. An ancient text, namely the book of Proverbs, actually frames this whole thing as a life or death choice between two competing invitations. And what's wild is thousands of years later, that choice is still probably the most important one we'll ever make. And that's really the core idea here in the first chapter of Proverbs. It asks us to imagine wisdom not as some dusty old concept in a book, but as a living, breathing character, a voice that's actively trying to get our attention. It basically forces us to stop for a second and consciously choose the kind of life we actually want to lead. Before we proceed with the breakdown, let's actually read the verse.
The following is Proverbs chapter 1 from the New International Version. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for attaining wisdom and discipline, for understanding words of insight, for acquiring a disciplined and prudent life, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance, for understanding proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Exhortations to embrace wisdom. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. They will be a garland to grace your head and a chain to adorn your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not give in to them. If they say, "Come along with us, let's lie in wait for someone's blood, let's waylay some harmless soul, let's swallow them alive, like the grave, and whole, like those who go down to the pit. We will get all sorts of valuable things and fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot with us, and we will share a common purse." My son, do not go along with them. Do not set foot on their paths. For their feet rush into sin, they are swift to shed blood. How useless to spread a net in full view of all the birds. These men lie in wait for their own blood. They waylay only themselves. Such is the end of all who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the lives of those who get it. Wisdom calls aloud in the street. She raises her voice in the public squares. At the head of the noisy streets she cries out. In the gateways of the city she makes her speech. How long will you simple ones love your simple ways? How long will mockers delight in mockery and fools hate knowledge? If you had responded to my rebuke, I would have poured out my heart to you and made my thoughts known to you. But since you rejected me when I called, and no one gave heed when I stretched out my hand, since you ignored all my advice and would not accept my rebuke, I in turn will laugh at your disaster. I will mock when calamity overtakes you. When calamity overtakes you like a storm. When disaster sweeps over you like a whirlwind. When distress and trouble overwhelm you. Then they will call to me, but I will not answer. They will look for me, but will not find me. Since they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord, since they would not accept my advice and spurned my rebuke, they will eat the fruit of their ways and be filled with the fruit of their schemes. For the waywardness of the simple will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will live in safety and be at ease, without fear of harm. End of chapter.
Okay, let's get into it. So, the book of Proverbs, it wastes absolutely no time. Right from the very first lines, it lays out its purpose. And this isn't just a collection of ancient old sayings. It's more like a practical mission statement for a life well lived. And what's so striking when you look at this list is how practical those goals are. I mean, this is an abstract philosophy. The text is all about helping us get discipline, understand real insight, and build what it calls a prudent life. In other words, it's a manual for developing good character and sound judgment, whether you're just starting out in life or you've been around the block a few times. But before we can even get to any of that, the text presents a single non-negotiable starting point. It's the one foundation that everything else has to be built on. So this one line, it's basically the key that unlocks the entire book. It's making a pretty bold claim that true knowledge doesn't start with collecting facts or figures. Nope. It starts with a specific posture, a specific state of mind. But what does that phrase, fear of the Lord, actually mean? Right? So, in its original context, this isn't about being terrified, not at all. It's a deep sense of awe and reverence. It's about recognizing that there's an order to the world that's bigger than you are. And that real wisdom begins the moment you respect that order. Okay, so once that foundation is in place, the chapter then unfolds its central drama. And this is where it gets really interesting because that foundation builds into a dramatic story. The rest of the chapter basically plays out as a tale of two very different voices calling out to us. And each one is offering a totally distinct path with a very, very different future. So the first voice we hear, it's a whisper. It's sneaky. It comes from those who are promising a shortcut to wealth and success, the easy way to get ahead without putting in the hard work. It sounds pretty good, right? But it definitely has a dark side. And check this out. Their pitch is so methodical. It's almost like a twisted business plan or some real hood street type slick talk. They lay it all out. Step 1, ambush. Step 2, plunder. Step 3, pool the resources. It's a promise of community and prosperity for sure, but it's all built on a foundation of violence and greed. Now, in complete contrast to that secret conspiratorial whisper, the second voice, it doesn't hide in the shadows. Wisdom shouts, she cries in the streets, in the public squares, at the city gates, basically anywhere and everywhere people gather. She's not hiding anything. Let's put them side by side because the difference is just night and day. The sinner's call is private, it's exclusive, and it's all about material gain. Wisdom's call, on the other hand, is public. It's open to everyone, and it's offering instruction and knowledge. One voice says, come with us and take. The other says, turn here and learn. And the text is incredibly clear on this point. These are not just two options. These are two paths with direct, unavoidable consequences. You choose the path, you are choosing the destination. Period. For cats that follow that first whisper. The consequences, well, it's poetic, really. It says they will eat the fruit in their own ways. Think about that. The very schemes they use to try and get ahead become the very things that bring them down. It's the ultimate reap of what you sow. And if you thought that was intense, the warning gets even more direct. Verse 32 doesn't pull any punches at all. It flat out says that simply turning away from wisdom is a fatal choice, and that the complacency of foolishness is ultimately self-destructive. But on the flip side, for those who actually listen to wisdom's call, the promise is something else entirely. It's not about material wealth, it's something much deeper. Safety, ease, and a life free from the fear of harm. It's a promise of inner peace over outer plunder. Now, so when you lay it all out like this, the choice couldn't be more black and white, right? The path of the sinners promises easy gain, easy money, but the outcome is literally self-destruction. Their own greed consumes them. The path of wisdom promises instruction and knowledge. The outcome is security and freedom from fear. So why are we talking about this ancient text today? Well, it's because of this fundamental choice it describes. This whole tale of two calls is a choice that every single one of us still faces every single day. When you really boil it all down, the dilemma is absolutely timeless. It's that whisper of the shortcut, the get-rich scheme, the easy way out versus the louder, and yes, sometimes harder to hear, call to live a life with integrity, justice, and thoughtfulness. And that really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Wisdom once shouted at city gates and public squares. Today, our public squares are our social media feeds, our 24/7 news cycles, our endless online conversations. So in all the noise, which voice is actually easier to hear, the enticing whisper of the shortcut or the demanding call to wisdom?